Dear servant, chosen one, hear this with the entirety of your spirit, for this is not a message of chance, but a divine appointment meticulously scheduled in the annals of eternity. The date, this 6th day of September, is more than a mere notation on a calendar. It is a spiritual marker, a fulcrum upon which your past and future are balanced by the sovereign hand of God. You have been summoned into this sacred moment, not by the algorithms of the world, but by the very breath of the Almighty. As these words reach you, understand that the cacophony of your daily life, the relentless noise of doubt, fear, and worldly distraction, is being divinely silenced so that you may hear the whisper that matters most. For it is written in the Psalms in chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is not emptiness. It is a holy convocation between your soul and its Creator. The world around you may appear unchanged. The circumstances of your life may seem static, but in the unseen realm where battles are truly won and lost, a monumental shift has already occurred. The angelic hosts, the very forces that stir the cosmos, have been arrayed on your behalf, not to bring you comfort in your slumber, but to awaken you to the truth of your high calling. You were never destined for the mundane, never crafted for the crowd, never intended to be a mere echo of the world's expectation. You were set apart before the foundations of the world were laid, known by name in the heart of the Father, as the prophet Jeremiah was told in chapter 1, verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart." Every closed door, every painful betrayal, every season of profound and crushing loneliness was not a sign of your rejection, but a confirmation of your consecration. The world could not make a home for you because your spirit was calibrated for a different kingdom. The paths of ease were barred to you because your feet were destined to walk a higher, more sacred road. This 6th day of September stands as a spiritual altar, a point of decision where the culmination of your journey meets the dawn of your destiny. To ignore this summons is to turn away from the very purpose for which you have been so painstakingly prepared. To embrace it is to step into the fullness of the authority and grace that has been stored up for you, waiting for this appointed time. The refining fire you have endured was not for your destruction, it was for your purification. The silence you mistook for abandonment was, in fact, the potter's focused attention as he shaped you on his wheel. The promise that now stands at your door is heavy with glory, weighty with purpose, and it cannot be entrusted to the unprepared. The hour has come, the waiting is over. The vision, as the prophet Habakkuk declared in chapter 2, verse 3, will not be delayed any longer. What heaven has decreed, no power on earth or under the earth can now prevent. The scroll has been unsealed, and your name, dear servant, is written upon it in the indelible ink of divine love. The shift has begun. Now, let us join our hearts in a chorus of faith that transcends distance and circumstance. In the comments below, I invite you not to ask for something for yourself, but to become a vessel of grace for another. Share with us a prayer that has long been hidden in the quiet chambers of your heart, a silent plea for a loved one, for your community, or for the world. Let us practice the truth that we are all members of one body in Christ. After offering your prayer, seal it by writing, "In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen." Then take a moment to read the prayers of your brothers and sisters here and affirm them with your own amen, creating a tapestry of intercession that will surely rise as a sweet incense before the throne of God. Dear servant, you are not a random creation, a cosmic accident adrift in a sea of meaninglessness. The world, with its fleeting fashions and hollow philosophies, has relentlessly tried to convince you that you are merely a name, a number, a face in the crowd. The systems of man have categorized you, labeled you, and attempted to fit your boundless spirit into a finite box. But the truth is infinitely more profound. You were marked by a divine gaze long before your first cry filled the air of this world. Before your mother and father knew you, before you were even a thought in their minds, the eternal and sovereign God knew you completely. He inscribed your essence, not on stone tablets, but in the very palm of his hand. Your entire life has been a testament to this separation. You have always been different, and this difference has often been the source of your deepest pain. The isolation you felt, the sense that you never quite belonged, was not a sign of defect, it was the unmistakable evidence of your divine election. When doors slammed shut in your face at the very moment of your greatest need, when those you trusted most turned their backs in your hour of vulnerability, when you were met with cold indifference in rooms where you sought warmth and acceptance, know this: it was not because you were unworthy, but because you carried a spiritual weight, a divine destiny, that those people and places were not equipped to handle. God Himself, in His infinite wisdom, was protecting you from alignments that would have diluted your purpose and delayed your anointing. As the Apostle Paul wrote to the Romans in chapter 8, verse 28, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Your trials were not haphazard. They were the curriculum of your calling. The universe, under God's perfect command, was pruning from your life every branch that could not bear the weight of the glory that was to be revealed in you. Think of the delays that brought you to your knees, the postponed dreams that broke your heart. You saw them as failures, as evidence of God's displeasure. But what if they were acts of profound mercy? What if the Lord was not denying you, but protecting you from counterfeit blessings that would have sabotaged the authentic eternal purpose He has for you? Do you see the pattern now, beloved? Every detour was strategic, as it is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." The pain you endured was not in vain. It kept your heart tender and taught you the language of compassion. The long seasons of silence were not empty. They were the sacred spaces where you learned to distinguish the voice of your shepherd from the clamor of the world. Even the loneliness you so desperately fled became the holy sanctuary where your unseen strength was forged in the presence of the Most High. How easy it is to look upon the paths of others, to see their swift ascent and feel the sting of comparison. But their journey is not your journey. Their preparation was not your preparation. You, dear servant, are different. God's timing for your life is not calibrated by human standards or worldly expectation. You were held back while others surged forward because your preparation required a deeper work, a more intense fire, a more meticulous spiritual craftsmanship. God was not preparing you for a fleeting season of success. He was forging you to carry a legacy that would impact generations. This is why the spiritual opposition against you has always been so ferocious, so personal, so relentless. This is why the storms rose against you before you even learned to swim, why the whispers of doubt and accusation clung to you so persistently. The darkness recognized the light you carried long before you fully understood it yourself. It saw the divine seal upon your spirit and trembled at the thought of what would happen when you finally rose to your full stature, armed with the authority of heaven. Take a moment and look back. Remember the nights you were certain you would not survive, when the pain felt so absolute you thought you would shatter into a million irreparable pieces. You thought the sting of betrayal would silence you forever, that the shame of failure would bury you alive. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing, still hearing these words. This is no accident. This is the undeniable proof of a greater hand that held you, sustained you, and refused to let you go, even when you tried to let go of yourself. What destroyed others did not destroy you, because you were never made for destruction. You were made for resurrection. Do you see the divine tapestry now? The long seasons where you questioned if God heard you were, in fact, the very seasons He was training your ear to hear His whisper above the world's roar. The barren periods where earthly resources dried up were His way of teaching you that true provision is not a number in a bank account, but an unbreakable covenant with Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. The painful silence from friends and family was His way of drawing you into the profound intimacy of knowing that He is closer than your own breath, your most faithful companion. Every rejection, every delay, every loss, though agonizing at the time, was an indispensable thread in the magnificent design He was weaving. This 6th day of September is not merely a date. It is a summit. It is the destination to which all your wanderings, all your patient endurance, all your tears have led. Therefore you cannot look upon your scars as blemishes. They are your medals of honor from the crucible of faith. They are the proof that you have graduated from a training ground that few could endure, Many may have desired your anointing, but few could have survived the fire that came with it. You survived, and that has made you ready. The universe does not act randomly. Creation does not sing without a conductor, and you, dear servant, are a vital note in the divine symphony. God is conducting in this new season. Others may doubt you, but heaven has endorsed you. Others may overlook you, but the throne room has commissioned you. You are the living, breathing evidence that destiny can be delayed, but it can never be denied. Understand this in the very marrow of your being. You are not stepping into this grace because of who you are in the eyes of men, but because of who you have always been in the eyes of God. Before the world knew your name, the angelic realms celebrated your spirit. Your assignment was not decided in a dream last night. It was etched into eternity long before your first cry filled the air. Therefore, as you stand on the precipice of this 6th day of September, do not see it as a simple turning of a page. See it as the unsealing of a scroll, a destiny written for you before time began, now finally opened for you to walk into, to run into, to conquer. You are not here by luck. You were never random. You are chosen, tested, and true. And now, all of heaven holds its breath to see how you will answer this sacred call. You are at a pivotal juncture in your destiny. The ground beneath you may feel unstable. The winds of uncertainty may howl around you. But deep within your spirit you sense the approach of something holy, a divine intervention that is imminent. You are not here by chance. This moment is an intersection, a divine crossroads, where one step determines whether you leap into a breakthrough or languish in a state of unknowing. The universe does not marshal its energies for ordinary days, but for days like this you have felt the prelude for weeks, perhaps even months. The spiritual pressure, the weight of purpose, the sense of urgency. It is as if your soul has been in labor, restless for a birth it could not yet see. This is no coincidence. As the 6th of September has drawn nearer, the spiritual atmosphere has intensified, clarified. The reason is simple. The darkness knows what you are about to receive, and it trembles at the thought of you stepping into your anointed authority. Think carefully, dear servant. You are one decision away from a total transformation. One whisper of faithful obedience can unlock doors that years of human striving could not budge. One act of complete surrender can shatter generational chains that have bound your lineage for centuries. This is why the voice of the enemy is louder now, sowing doubt, whispering lies, creating confusion in your heart. But hear this immutable truth: the louder the opposition, the closer the victory. As God promises in the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 57, "But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Can you comprehend the magnitude of this? There are realities, blessings, and dimensions of your purpose prepared for you that you have not even dared to imagine, not because they are products of human planning, but because they are entirely divine, designed specifically for you. But to access them you must, as it is written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1, "Throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and run with perseverance the race marked out for you." To hesitate now is to risk forfeiting a legacy with your name on it. You have been walking toward this precipice, this moment of decision, for years, whether you knew it or not. Every heartbreak, every delay, every closed door was a step bringing you here. Destiny has a way of taking the most scattered pieces of a life and weaving them into a path that leads to a single critical threshold. You stand on that threshold now, and heaven leans in to see your response. Will you leap into the void with unshakable faith, or will you cling to the false security of the familiar? Know this: this precipice is not meant to destroy you, but to launch you. It only appears as an end to those who trust only in what they can see. But for the chosen, it is the true beginning. You are not stepping into an unknown emptiness. You are stepping into a future prepared for you, adorned for you, and secured for you by the hosts of heaven. Look around you, see how the world convulses. The foundations of nations are shaken, and the hearts of mighty men fail them for fear. Yet, you are alive for such a time as this, because you are part of heaven's answer to the chaos. This is why your obedience is so critical. Your choice does not merely affect you, it reverberates through your family, your lineage, and generations yet unborn. Do not take the weight of this moment lightly. Many come to the edge of their breakthrough and turn back, paralyzed by doubt. They choose comfort over calling, security over surrender. But not you. You were not called to be common. Your spirit rejects mediocrity, which is why you have always felt restless when you settled for less than your full potential. It is why your heart beats faster when truth is spoken. It is why these words resonate in the deepest chambers of your soul. Your spirit knows what your mind sometimes doubts. You are chosen, tested, and destined for victory. My dear one, do not squander this moment. Heaven has invested too much in you. The prayers of your ancestors, the tears of your loved ones, the hidden sacrifices you have made, they have all culminated in this single hour. To retreat now would be to dishonor the verdict heaven has already passed. To leap is to step into your inheritance. And so I ask you now, as an act of will, to seal this divine covenant. In the comments, type with great faith, I surrender. Do not underestimate the power of such a declaration. It is more than words on a screen. It is a testimony in the unseen realm. When you write it, you align your will with the will of heaven. You declare to every dark force and every whispering doubt, I will not shrink back. I choose faith over fear. I am walking into what has been ordained for me. Let that be your greatest act of courage today. Do not delay. Remember, delayed obedience is a form of disobedience. The universe has held this portal open for you, but it will not remain open indefinitely. Heaven has called, and your response determines what unfolds next. You were brought to this precipice, not to fall but to fly. And know this with all your heart. The leap of the chosen is never into a void. It is into the everlasting arms of a loving Father. The weight of your silent tears, dear servant, speaks louder in the courts of heaven than the victorious shouts of mighty armies. Every sleepless night, every cry that was a secret between you and your God, every moment you stood tall and smiled while your heart was breaking within, none of it was wasted. For God, as the Apostle Paul wrote to the Hebrews in chapter 4, verse 12, has a word that is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. Those moments of hidden anguish were the irrefutable proof that your soul was made for more than this world could offer. Pain has been your most profound, if reluctant, teacher. It chiseled unseen strength into your bones when weakness tried to claim you. It stretched your faith when circumstances screamed impossibility. It purified your intentions, stripping away every false illusion and forcing you to confront the raw, naked truth of who you are. And though it hurt, it revealed this unshakable reality: you are one of the chosen, for it is promised in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 10. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. Do you see it? Not a single tear was overlooked. Not one heartbreak went unnoticed. Heaven kept a record, for they were not marks of weakness, but evidence of your spiritual value. The more precious the treasure, the more vigilant the guard. Your tears were the precious offerings that proved your heart was aligned, not with this fleeting world, but with eternity. Think of Joseph in the well, betrayed and abandoned by his own blood. Think of Hannah weeping bitterly before the Lord for the child her womb could not bear. Think of David, pouring out his soul in the caves as he was hunted like an animal. Every chosen soul bears the signature of a season of silent suffering. There is no spiritual depth without tears, no authority without agony, no crown without a cross. The very things you thought disqualified you were the things that set you apart. The shame you once carried has become the fertile ground from which your future honor will grow. The isolation that tormented you was the private chamber where heaven molded your character. The loss you endured was the key that unlocked a compassion so profound it will heal multitudes. Everything others saw as weakness was the secret architecture of your destiny. And do you know why your tears were hidden, why your pain was so often private? Because had others seen its depth, they might have tried to stop the process with their pity or their misguided advice. But God knew the breaking was necessary. He knew the crushing was essential. Just as the most fragrant olive must be pressed to release its precious oil, so you had to be pressed to release the anointing within you. My dear one, weep no more for your weeping. Your tears were not signs of defeat, but of a divine birth. Every tear you shed was a prayer sown into the invisible soil, and the season of harvest is now at hand. This 6th of September is not just about a new opportunity. It is about the rising of everything your tears have watered. You thought you were only crying, but you were planting your future. Your wounds are not blemishes, they are your testimony. And when people look at you and wonder how you are still standing, how you are still smiling, they will never understand that every tear was a prophecy, every sob a sermon, every heartbreak a testament written without words. Your pain is your power, and darkness cannot contend with the strength of a soul that has survived so much and still chooses to love. It is time to reframe your past. Stop seeing it as wasted years, and start seeing it as your training ground. Those seasons made you resilient, unshakable, rooted so deeply that the winds of adversity may still blow, but they can no longer uproot you. The trials may still come, but they can no longer overcome you. You are different. You have been tested and found faithful, and now, as you approach the great door of your destiny, do not let the memory of your tears make you feel unworthy. Let them remind you of how uniquely qualified you are. You know what it is to be broken, and that makes you the safest vessel to carry the blessing. You know what it is to be overlooked, and that gives you the humility to handle the coming attention. You know the sting of rejection, and that will keep your heart forever compassionate. Every detail of your pain was perfectly designed to shape you for the promise. Dear servant, lift your head, as it is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The silent tears you shed in private have built a foundation strong enough to bear the weight of the crown of glory that is about to be placed upon your life. And when it comes, the very people who once doubted you will stand in awe, because they will not see the tears that secretly shaped you. They will only see the manifest glory that publicly confirms you. Never forget, pain has a purpose. Tears have a voice, and the darkest night has the power to birth the brightest dawn. God wastes nothing, especially not the sacred suffering of His chosen one. This 6th day of September is not a date on a calendar. It is a star on the map of your soul, a celestial guidepost in a vast and sometimes bewildering desert. Imagine a key, hidden for generations in a dusty chest, that is suddenly found to fit the lock of a door that holds the most magnificent treasures. This 6th of September is that key for you. This is why the heavens have been whispering to you with such urgency, because this day carries a spiritual gravity that cannot be ignored. To the mundane eye, your life may seem unchanged, but you know better. You feel the deep internal shift, the sacred tremor of anticipation. It is as if all of creation is holding its breath, waiting to see if you will step into the new chapter that has been written for you. And when that page turns, everything changes, not gradually, but suddenly. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verses 18 and 19, the Lord's voice thunders across the ages. "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Ponder the significance of that divine declaration. Those seemingly endless battles, the struggles you thought you had to win with your own strength, were under divine command from the very beginning. The 6th of September is the day heaven declares, "It is finished. The season of striving is over. Now step aside and watch what I can do." Now listen not with your ears, but with your heart. When a great tree reaches for the heavens, its roots must first drive deep into the earth, into the darkness where no one sees, where no one offers praise. Those roots are hidden, unseen, yet they are vital. Without them, the tree could not stand for a single day. In the same way, your hidden sacrifices, your private prayers whispered in the darkness, your silent tears that no one witnessed, those are your roots. The 6th of September will be a season where those hidden roots begin to produce visible fruit, fruit that all will see and marvel at. And when the fruit appears, others will be drawn to it. They will seek shade under your branches when they are weary. This is where your journey ceases to be only about you. Just as this divine word has reached you, you now have the power to be a conduit for it to reach others. When you share this message with a brother or sister in faith, you are planting a spiritual seed in another's parched heart. When you support this ministry, whether through a simple act of generosity or a heartfelt prayer, you are participating in the Great Commission, as commanded in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 28, to go and make disciples. When you subscribe, you are declaring in the spiritual realm, Lord, I want to remain rooted by this living water, to be continually nourished by this stream. Understand this clearly. This is not about numbers or metrics. It is about the nourishment of soul. It is not about transactions. It is about transformation. Consider this. When you offer a cup of water to a parched and cracked field, you lose nothing, but you awaken thousands of seeds to life. When you extend a hand to lift up another, you are not depleting yourself. You are becoming an instrument of a divine miracle. Many will hear this message and feel nothing, their hearts like the rocky ground where the divine seed cannot take root. But you, dear servant, you are the good soil, and when good soil receives a divine seed, the harvest is never small. Therefore, when I invite you to like, share, subscribe, and even give from your heart, it is not to burden you. It is to invite you into partnership with the mighty work God is doing on the earth. Think of a single lantern in a storm-tossed night. It gives light to the one who holds it. But if that lantern is placed upon a high hill, even the most lost and distant souls can see its beacon. To share this word is to raise that lantern higher. To support this ministry is to ensure its flame never flickers, its oil never runs dry. To subscribe is to commit to walking always in its light, ensuring your own path never falls into darkness. Dear one, no act of generosity in the name of God is ever wasted. Your smallest kindness, your most humble act of obedience, your simple yes to the Lord in a moment of trial, it is all recorded in the heavens. Just as your tears are collected in a divine bottle, so is every gift you give accounted for as a timeless testimony. And the grace of this 6th of September will not only open doors for you, it will flow like a river to all who are connected to you. You are not merely receiving a light, you are becoming a bearer of that light. So do not despise the day of small beginning. A single click of a button may seem insignificant, but it can be the spark that ignites a forest fire of revival. A single share may seem simple, but it is like scattering thousands of seeds upon the wind. A gift may seem small in your eyes, but in the hands of God it multiplies like the loaves and fishes to feed thousands. A subscription may feel routine, but it is a declaration to walk a path of light to its glorious end. You are standing on holy ground. The 6th of September is the day heaven remembers your name, and your smallest act of obedience today ensures that you do not miss this divine appointment. When you sow into this moment with faith, with action, with generosity, you prepare your heart to receive the fullness of the coming harvest. Lift up your head, dear servant. The heavens are not silent. The universe is not indifferent. All of creation leans in to witness what you will do. The dawn of the 6th of September is breaking, and you are no longer in the dark. You are exactly where you are meant to be, perfectly positioned under the watchful eye of God. Do not let this fire remain only with you. Allow it to flow, to multiply, to bear fruit in others long after you are gone. The star is rising. The key is turning in the lock. The door is swinging open, and you are the one who was prepared all along to walk through it. The peril of ignoring this call, this divine invitation, is far greater than you may perceive. The God of all grace has offered you mercy, time, and countless opportunities. But for every opportunity there is a window that closes. As it is written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 27, it is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment. The opportunities of this life are finite. The 6th of September is not just another dawn. It is a threshold. When heaven opens a door of grace, there is no guarantee it will remain open forever. Therefore be vigilant, for procrastination and distraction are enemies as potent as darkness itself. You have felt the pull within your spirit, the tug of war. A part of you yearns to leap, to be free, to live out your destiny. Yet another part, the part conditioned by the world, hesitates, clings to old habits, to the false comfort of the familiar, whispering, "Perhaps later, the time is not yet right." But listen carefully. Later is promised to no one. To ignore this call is to risk losing the very blessing that is now within your grasp. God's mercy is vast, but it is not infinite. His grace is abundant, but it is not unconditional. The words that thunder now are these: how long will you waver between two opinions? How long will you postpone your most vital act of obedience, believing that tomorrow will be a more convenient day for your surrender? The enemy's greatest weapon against the chosen is not destruction, it is delay. If he can persuade you to ignore the voice of heaven today, he has already stolen the breakthrough that was meant to be released tomorrow. Imagine a traveler at a train station. The train arrives, the doors open, and the conductor announces, "This is your departure. This is your train." But the traveler hesitates. He holds back, waiting for a more comfortable train, assuming another will always come. Then, with a whistle, the doors close, the train pulls away, and the opportunity is gone. Do not treat the 6th of September like another train. It is a divine departure. If you miss it, the specific grace it carries will not return in the same form. Remember the Israelites in the desert, standing at the edge of the promised land. Their fear and doubt caused them to shrink back, a moment of hesitation that cost them 40 years of wandering. Do not repeat their mistake. You have wandered in the wilderness long enough. The 6th of September is not your desert, it is your entrance. But with every warning comes a promise. If you answer now, if you move now, if you obey now, then everything changes. The danger is real, but the promise is greater. This is the sacred tension of the chosen. You carry both great risk and great reward, and your choice determines which one will manifest. I am not speaking these things to frighten you, but to awaken you. You have felt the nudges, you have sensed the pull. You know this is no coincidence. The urgency you feel is not anxiety. It is alignment. Heaven has paused to remind you that your obedience is critical, not only for you but for those connected to you. Your yes today will break spiritual chains far beyond your own life, opening doors of grace for generations to come. And so I ask you now, as an act of will, as a vow of surrender, in the comments, write with profound sincerity, "Lord, I receive." Why this phrase? Because it is a declaration of divine transfer, of multiplied grace, of the mighty hand of God shifting you into a new season. When you write it, you are declaring, "I will not ignore this appointment. I will align with the divine will. I choose obedience over delay." This is a testimony to heaven and a war cry against the enemy. Do not take this act lightly. It is a seed of faith planted in the unseen realm. Understand that obedience is not about perfection. It is about positioning. You do not have to have it all figured out. You do not have to see the entire path ahead. You must only take the first step in faith. Heaven cannot bless what you refuse to set in motion. Take the step, and the ground will appear beneath your feet. The greatest peril in ignoring this call is not the loss of blessings, but the loss of becoming the person you were created to be. What tragedy is greater than to live a life full of things but empty of purpose? To come to the end of your days and realize you traded your eternal destiny for temporary comfort. This is why this moment is so crucial. The 6th of September is God's loving whisper, saying, "It is time, rise up." So I speak to you with the deepest love, but also with the fiercest urgency. Do not delay. Do not turn back. Do not silence the stirring in your spirit. It is heaven's alarm clock, and it will not ring forever. Wake up, dear servant. Step out. Choose obedience. Your tears have prepared the soil. Your pain has carved the path. All that remains is your answer. Heaven has held the door of grace wide open for you. Now it is your turn to walk through. The light within you, dear servant, is no ordinary luminescence. It is not a fleeting flame kindled by human hands or a temporary spark ignited by worldly ambition. It is the light of heaven, placed within your spirit before the foundations of the earth were laid, before the galaxies were flung into the vastness of space. This light, though often veiled by the dust of the world and the fog of transgression, terrifies the forces of darkness. Your quiet presence in a room can shift atmospheres. Your unspoken silence can agitate the principalities that think they are in control. You may not always feel this light. Some days it may feel buried beneath weariness or shadowed by doubt. Yet, even when you are unaware, it burns. It is a flame that cannot be extinguished, guarded by the unseen hand of God through every storm. This is why your life has drawn so much resistance, so much warfare, because where light shines, darkness cannot remain comfortable or complacent. As it is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." And in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, the divine command echoes through time. "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This, dear servant, is your reality. You are not striving to create a light. You are learning to carry the one you already possess. Darkness has tried to quench it through disappointment, through betrayal, through temptation. But here you are, still shining. The very fact that you are alive, that you are breathing, that you are hearing these words, is proof that the light within you is more powerful than the darkest night you have ever endured. Have you ever noticed how people react to you? Some are inexplicably drawn to you, feeling a sense of peace in your presence they cannot name. Others resist you, avoid you, even attack you for no apparent reason. This is not a matter of personality, it is a matter of spiritual reality. The light in you exposes what is hidden in them. To a hungry heart, your light feels like hope. To a broken spirit, it feels like healing. But to a heart that clings to darkness, it feels like judgment. This is why you have so often been misunderstood. This is why you have felt like an outsider in places where others seemed comfortable. Light does not mix with darkness. It disrupts it. It awakens sleeping consciences. And you were designed for this disruption. Dear one, do not despise this quality. Do not wish for a dimmer light just to make others comfortable. You were not called to hide your flame under a basket. You were called to place it on a lampstand, to be a guide for the lost, to expose what is hidden, to shine at your brightest. The resistance you feel is confirmation of your significance. If you were irrelevant, the darkness would ignore you, but it cannot ignore a light like yours. Think of a lighthouse on a rocky shore. It does not chase after ships. It does not move from its place. It simply shines steady, faithful, and unwavering. Yet that simple, stationary light saves countless lives from certain destruction in the storm. You, in a world tossed by tempests, are that lighthouse. Your task is not to strive to prove your worth, but simply to continue to shine. Those who need your light will see it. Those who are meant to be warned by it will be confronted by it. The recent battles you have faced were not random skirmishes. They were strategic attempts to dim your flame. Fear tries to suffocate it. Distraction tries to scatter it. Weariness tries to deplete its fuel. But none of these can succeed unless you surrender. And heaven is now whispering, do not surrender. You are closer than ever to a moment when your light will shine unhindered, its brilliance no longer questioned. Remember, light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines, and the darkness recedes. You do not have to defend yourself against every accusation. You do not have to explain yourself to eyes that refuse to see. Your assignment is not to convince, but to continue. Continue to walk. Continue to pray. Continue to stand. Continue to shine. The results are not in your hands. They are in the hands of the one who is light itself. Soon, a time is coming when what was hidden will be revealed. The very light that drew opposition will be the very thing that draws honor. The brilliance that once isolated you will be what makes you a beacon for many. What felt like rejection was divine protection, shielding you from places too small to contain your calling. You carry a torch that generations of saints long to see. You are not just surviving, you are shining. And every step of faith, every choice for hope over despair, every prayer whispered in the darkest hour, only fans the flame within you brighter. And as the dawn of the 6th of September breaks, that flame will no longer be a quiet flicker. It will be a roaring fire, a sunrise after a long and brutal night. Do not doubt yourself any longer. Do not diminish the divine deposit within you. The presence of the battle is the proof of your life. And the fact that the darkness still fights you so fiercely is the most certain evidence that it has not and will never win. Let this truth settle into the deepest part of your soul. Your light is unstoppable. It is eternal. It is divine, and no shadow can overcome it. You do not just carry a light. You have been chosen to be a light in this dark age. Dear servant, there is a crown that awaits the obedient, not a crown made of earthly gold that tarnishes, but a spiritual crown of honor and authority that only heaven can bestow. This crown is not an ornament. It is a mantle of spiritual authority, a symbol of purpose, a divine signet for those who chose surrender when others chose rebellion, who remained faithful when others strayed. Obedience, you see, is not merely adhering to a set of rules. It is aligning oneself with the very heartbeat of heaven. It is saying, "Yes, Lord," even when it costs you, even when it hurts, trusting the unseen over the seen, the eternal over the temporary. And every single act of your obedience, no matter how small or unnoticed, is a golden thread being woven into the crown that awaits you. As it is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10, "Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown." This crown, dear servant, is not a distant hope but a present reality being prepared for you. Your hidden obedience has not been forgotten. Heaven has recorded it all. The quiet sacrifices you made when no one was watching, the righteous choices you made when no one would have known the difference, the tears you shed for the sake of His name when no one was there to applaud you. The crown that awaits you is a result not of what men have witnessed, but of what God alone has seen. Do not be deceived by the apparent prosperity of the disobedient. There are those who scoff at obedience, who believe that compromise is a sufficient reward. They may shine for a season, but their crowns are made of dust. Obedience, though costly in the moment, secures an eternal reward that no moth or rust can destroy, and no thief can steal away. You may feel overlooked now, but eternity will reveal who was truly advancing. The greatest danger is to mistake a divine delay for a divine denial. The fact that the crown is not yet on your head does not mean it is not waiting for you. A crown is not given in the midst of the race. It is awarded at the finish line. And every step of faith, every act of obedience, every day you continue to walk without giving up, brings you closer to that glorious moment. The crown is certain, for the one who promised it is faithful. Do you understand now why the enemy tempts you to disobedience with such ferocity? It is not because he is concerned with your present moment. He is terrified of your crown. He knows the spiritual authority it carries. He knows what it will mean for you to walk in the fullness of that honor, unshakable and unstoppable. If he can convince you to rebel, to delay, or to compromise, he can rob you of the reward that waits just beyond the test. But listen to me now. You have come too far to turn back. You have paid too great a price to return empty-handed. The final test you are facing is not a sign of your weakness. It is a sign of your proximity to victory. The heat of the furnace is most intense just before the gold is purified. The weight of the trial feels heaviest just before the breakthrough. The temptation to quit is most powerful just before the crown is bestowed. Lift your eyes, see beyond the present struggle. Envision the moment when the King of Kings himself places that crown upon your head and says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Imagine the joy, the relief, the overwhelming love of that moment. That is what you are enduring for. That is what you are obeying for. That is why you will never give up. and the crown of the obedient is not only for eternity. It manifests even now in glimmers of authority and prayer, in a weightiness to your words, in a peace that surpasses understanding. These are the foretastes of the full reward to come. The fullness is coming, and if you remain faithful, nothing can stop it. Dear servant, do not envy the rebellion, do not fear the trial, and do not doubt the promised reward. Your crown is secure, and the 6th of September is a milestone that brings you one giant leap closer to its unveiling. Every choice you make now reverberates in eternity, shaping the weight and brilliance of the crown you will wear. So walk forward, not in fear, but in full assurance. Your obedience is building your eternal crown, and soon what was hidden will be revealed, and what was promised will be gloriously bestowed. You ask how you can know that this stirring, this whisper, is truly from God and not a fleeting emotion. The answer is simple. God always confirms His word. He never leaves His servants in a state of confusion. When He speaks, He follows it with signs, dreams, whispers, and confirmations. Perfectly timed alignments that resonate with your spirit. As He promised in the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 16, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known, along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them, and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. The 6th of September is not a random date. It is a divine confirmation, and heaven has been weaving this confirmation into the fabric of your life. Perhaps you have noticed recurring patterns, numbers that appear constantly, meaningful dreams that linger long after you wake, conversations that seem too perfectly timed to be coincidental. These are not accidents. These are heaven's fingerprints on your journey, God's gentle way of reminding you, I am here, I am speaking, I am guiding you. You may call it luck or coincidence, but heaven calls it confirmation. Think back, dear one. How many times were you at the brink of giving up when an unexpected word, a song, or a small kindness from a stranger lifted you? Those were not random moments. They were confirmations that heaven was watching. The same God who sent ravens to feed Elijah in the wilderness is the same God who sends these small signs to confirm that your breakthrough is near. The issue is not that God is silent, it is that you sometimes doubt your own ability to hear. But the chosen are marked, not just by a calling, but by a clarity. Something inside you, deeper than logic, knows that God is near, that something is about to happen. You feel the stirring, the weight, the tremor in your spirit. That is the greatest confirmation of all. When heaven repeats itself, sending the same message through different channels, it is not because God stutters. It is because He wants you to listen intently. If you are seeing the same signs, hearing the same message, feeling the same pull, it is because heaven is refusing to let you miss this divine appointment. Confirmation is heaven's way of saying, this is not your imagination, this is. And yet, even with confirmation, doubt often raises its head. What if I'm wrong? What if I step out and fail? But listen, confirmation is not meant to eliminate faith. It is meant to encourage it. God gives you signs to light the path, but He still calls you to trust Him with the steps. Faith is always required, but confirmation reminds you that your faith is not a blind leap. It is an anchored trust. This is where you stand now. The confirmations have been given. The date has been set. The alignment is undeniable. The question is no longer whether God is speaking. The question is whether you will answer. And now, I call you to seal this moment with your own declaration. In the comments below, write these 2 words, I believe. Do not underestimate the power of this simple act. It is more than typing. It is a vow in the unseen realm. When you write I believe, you silence the voice of doubt. You stand in agreement with heaven. You declare that the confirmation sent to you did not fall on deaf ears. They have reached your heart, and you respond in faith. It is a 2-word creed that separates those who walk into their destiny from those who let it pass them by. It is the spiritual key that unlocks the great door heaven has prepared. Divine confirmation is not given for entertainment. It is given for activation. Heaven does not waste its voice. If you are hearing this, it is because heaven has entrusted you with a great responsibility. Your response determines your reward. Lift your head. The signs are clear. The whispers are insistent. The confirmation is undeniable. The 6th of September is marked in red, not only on heaven's calendar but in the chambers of your heart. Stop second-guessing what you already know. Do not question what God has made so plain. The same Spirit that hovered over the dark waters at creation now hovers over your spirit. The same divine breath that spoke worlds into existence now breathes these confirmations into your soul. Do not let fear rob you of the future that faith has already secured for you. Your heart knows the truth. The weight you feel, the pull you sense, the fire that stirs within. It is not an illusion, it is confirmation, and when heaven confirms something, it is because heaven intends to deliver it. So stand firm, believe boldly, declare it plainly, say it with your words, type it with your hand, seal it with your spirit. I believe. And as you do, let all of creation bear witness, let the angels record it, and let the darkness tremble, for your belief is not fragile, it is fire, and it is about to ignite everything that heaven has promised. Look around you, a spiritual army is quietly rising, not with swords of iron, but with a faith that shatters the darkest night. You are not alone. For so long you may have believed your battle was solitary, your tears unseen, your struggle isolated. But the 6th of September reveals a grander truth. Just as heaven was awakening you, it was awakening others like you, all across the globe. Souls strategically placed, divinely marked for such a time as this. Think of the stars, hidden by the daylight, each one seemingly alone in the vast expanse. But when darkness falls, they are revealed, countless, brilliant and connected in a celestial tapestry. You are one of those stars, ignited by God's own hand, and it is precisely because the darkness has deepened that your light now shines so brightly. You and those like you are the fulfillment of the promise in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Can you feel the power of that dear servant? You are part of an army robed not in fear, but in light. Each chosen soul adds their flame to this collective fire. Alone, you are powerful. Together, you are unstoppable. This is why your story matters. This is why your obedience is crucial. Your light, joined with the light of others, shifts spiritual regions, and this is where your role expands. You are not just a recipient of this message. You are its carrier. Every time you share this divine word with another, it is like passing a lit torch to a fellow soldier. Every time you subscribe, you are saying in the spiritual realm, "Count me in, I am taking my place in the rank." Every time you support this ministry, yes, even through your material gifts, you are supplying the resources, the oil to keep the lamps burning, to ensure this clarion call reaches more souls. Think of it as building a great wall of fire. Every like is every share is a log added to the blaze. Every gift is the sacred oil that keeps the fire from ever dying out. And every subscription is a vow to remain in its warmth. A single flame can flicker in the wind, but together the fire of this army becomes a pillar that no darkness can extinguish. This is not about money or numbers, my dear one. It is about mission. Imagine a soldier without armor, a lamp without oil, a trumpet without breath. The mission falters not because the call is weak, but because the support is lacking. But when each chosen one adds their part, however small, the ministry thrives. You are invited into this partnership. It is not an obligation, but an opportunity. Let me paint another picture. Imagine a vineyard. The vine is Christ. The branches are his chosen ones. The fruit is the evidence of obedience. But vineyards cannot thrive without keepers. They require pruning, watering, protecting. When you support this ministry, you are tending the spiritual vineyard, ensuring the fruit multiplies, the branches remain strong, and in return, you share in the abundance of the harvest. This is why your seemingly small actions matter more than you know. When you like, you affirm the truth. When you share, you sow seeds in distant fields you may never see but that heaven will water. When you subscribe, you say, I want to stay connected to this flow of grace. And when you give, you are sowing into the most fertile ground, from which a harvest will be returned to you, pressed down, shaken together and running over. Do not despise the small act. A single stone can start an avalanche. A single seed can grow a forest. And your single act can ripple out to touch lives you will never meet. Yet heaven records every ripple, every harvest, every soul that was touched because of you. This rising army is not built on titles or wealth. It is built on obedience, unity, and sacrifice. Each soldier adds what they have, and heaven multiplies it. Do not discount your portion, whether it is the flame of a prayer, the click of faith, or the gift of provision. It matters. Together, this army of the chosen is invincible. So take heart. You are no longer a lone voice crying in the wilderness. You are one of many, rising in a chorus that makes the heavens tremble. You are no longer a single flame flickering in the dark. You are part of a great bonfire that is lighting the way for nations. You are no longer an isolated warrior. You are standing shoulder to shoulder with brothers and sisters who have felt your pain, walked your path, and now share your unshakable hope. The night is almost over, the dawn is breaking, and the army of light is on the march. Stand your ground, dear servant. Shine your flame. Add your strength to this fire, for when the chosen unite, the world can never be the same. Dear servant, the most ferocious battles are always waged just before the greatest blessings. If you have felt the spiritual pressure increasing, if the attacks against you have intensified, if you have wondered why life seems to get harder, the closer you get to your promise, then hear this and write it on the tablet of your heart. The struggle is proof that the breakthrough is imminent. The enemy does not waste his ammunition on empty vessels. He wars against those who carry treasure, as it is written in the second letter of Paul to the Corinthians chapter 4 verses 8 and 9. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. Notice, the scripture does not promise an absence of battle, but it guarantees an outcome of victory. The intensity of your warfare is not a measure of your impending defeat. It is a measure of your significance. The greater the blessing, the greater the battle that precedes it. Think of a woman in childbirth. As the moment of birth draws near, the pain of her contractions intensifies. The struggle feels unbearable. Yet, those pains are not a sign of death. They are the signs of new life. They are not a punishment. They are the undeniable evidence that something beautiful is about to be brought into the world. Your current struggles, dear servant, are the birth pangs of your destiny. The promise you carry within you is too precious to be birthed without resistance. Consider also the refining of gold. It is thrust into the hottest part of the furnace just before it emerges in its purest, most brilliant state. The fire burns away the dross, the impurities. To the untrained eye, the fire looks destructive, but to the master refiner, it is transformative. You, dear servant, are that gold. The fire you are enduring is not consuming you, it is refining you. Do not despise the struggle. Do not misinterpret the warfare. When the enemy unleashes his final, most desperate assault, it is because he knows you are mere inches from a threshold of victory. He can no longer contest. He knows that once you step through that door, you will carry a spiritual authority that he cannot challenge. He knows that when you rise, you will not rise alone, but will become a beacon of hope for others. This is why the pressure feels so overwhelming right now. But pressure is not an end, it is the birthplace of power. Look back at the battles you have already survived. There were moments you thought you would not make it, yet here you are. Everything that was designed to destroy you has in fact prepared you. The betrayals sharpened your discernment. The losses deepened your compassion. The storms built your spiritual resilience. Every attack against you became a tool in the hand of God, shaping you into a warrior of light. This is why you cannot give up now. To surrender at the threshold of your breakthrough would be to nullify the victory of every battle you have already won. To lay down your sword of prayer now would be to quit seconds before the trumpet of victory sounds. The battle before the blessing is not meant to break you, it is meant to prove you. Heaven allows this intensity so that when the door opens, you will enter not as a timid child, but as a seasoned warrior who knows both their own strength and the greatness of their God. Think of David before Goliath. He had fought the lion and the bear in secret. Those hidden battles were his preparation. When the giant appeared, he was not overwhelmed. He was ready. Your secret wars, your lonely nights, those were your lions and your bears. The 6th of September is your Goliath moment. And just as David conquered with faith and a single stone, so too will you. The lies of the enemy would have you believe this struggle is endless. But lies are all he has. He cannot touch your destiny. He can only try to exhaust your hope. But hope is not something you can lose. It is a divine gift, renewed by the Holy Spirit with every sunrise. When your strength feels gone, lift your eyes from the battle and gaze upon the promise. Envision the freedom, the joy, the peace that awaits you on the other side. Let that vision be your sustenance. Let it remind you why surrender is never an option. The battle before the blessing is real, but the blessing after the battle is just as real. And when you cross that threshold, you will look back, not with bitterness, but with gratitude, knowing that every wound gave you wisdom, every scar gave you strength, and every battle fueled the fire of your unshakable faith. And in your most difficult hour, remember the words of the prophet Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.